Welcome to the Kurt Saxon Show, your countdown to the future. First, I want you to take down my phone number in case you want to call. The number is 501-437-2963. In case you didn't get it, here it is again, 501-437-2963. Sorry, but we can't accept collect calls. My next subject is politics and politicians. Every 4 years, our silly season comes around. It's then that the American public is given the responsibility of either keeping competent politicians in office or sweeping the rascals out in favor of better men. In a small town where people know their politicos, the system works fairly well. If a campaign promise isn't kept, the one using it to get elected faces impeachment at worst and non-re-election at best. To save his career, he must prove an unforeseen obstacle prevented him from acting as he said he would. In a local issue, his excuse is usually checked. He can't fool enough people to stay in office. Thus, most junior politicos are sincere. But as his scope widens, he comes up against people who use politicians to further their own interests. The highway commissioner promises him the votes of all those who would benefit by the highway system if he enlarges it. These include construction workers, truckers, sellers of road building materials, businesses along the route, etc. If the new system was really needed, the politico has earned his votes to a higher office. Too often, however, it is just a stopgap measure. There is temporary employment, a lot of money is spread around, but the result is more arable land covered with concrete, more forests butchered. It is another ecological disaster. The taxpayers are left holding the bag, and property taxes go up again. The construction worker is unemployed again. Businesses along the route fail during a fuel shortage. Little old ladies lose their cracker box homes because they can't pay the increased taxes. The politico who backed the program finds it very easy to blame everyone concerned and plead ignorance. Politicians have become so good at pleading ignorance that ignorance has become their hallmark. The higher up he goes in politics, the less control the politician has over the programs he backs. There are so many interested persons telling him things they only hope are true, that he and the voters are easily taken in. So this sincere politico goes from local issues which he can control to state issues too complex and with too many vested interests for him to be expected to control. But by the time his promised benefits have failed to materialize, he's on the next rung of the political ladder. His past mistakes are now far behind and his future ones are close ahead. He now vows that with the support of the voters, he and they will never be swindled again. Had he stayed where he was, he might have learned the pitfalls of that level, and some do. But up he goes and the public is shafted again. Relying on the political amnesia of the public, he now runs as a popular friend of all. He is ignorant but well-meaning. But with your support, everything is possible. Since this dummy is not able to know everything, he makes ignorance a virtue, often implying that those really qualified are suspect. If they do know what's happening, they must be on the inside with the enemy. So you are actually encouraged to vote against the most able. Any competence is suspect since it smacks of inside knowledge. So the most ignorant, the dreamers, the wishful thinkers, leave the eggheads far behind in most political races. Of course, most of the eggheads are simply a little more intelligent. This doesn't mean they know enough to come in out of the rain. Actually, the intellectual politico is simply the one who can read without moving his lips. He usually surrounds himself with degree holders whose only abilities lie in smearing down any practical approach to a problem. The degree holders, politicos who court them, and their numerous hangers-on are called liberals, and their only concern is with the impoverished no-hopers. The liberal is so insecure in his real value that he must reduce the value of all so that he looks better by comparison. Hence the idealistic social programs that fail right along with the roads that go nowhere and the dams that break and the publicly subsidized industry which loot the wage earners. It doesn't really matter if the dummy is ignorant or actually stupid, whether he calls himself a liberal, conservative, or a moderate. They're all political pigs wanting only to get up to the public trough and stay there. They all plead ignorance in one way or another. They need the support of the American people, as if that support will somehow put the stamp of validity on their incompetent efforts toward a better life for all. That's why they all say, even if you don't vote for me, vote. They know your vote is a vote for their own way of life. It ensures that if they lose this election, they'll still have a goal to shoot for the next time. It's the vote to keep those places at the public trough available for creeps who have nothing to sell but themselves. And since they have nothing to sell but themselves, the accent is on personality and agreeableness. They parade out their usually pretty wives and homely children and read speeches written by others. Most such speeches are written by Madison Avenue types whose works sound like the commercials written for kiddie shows. Vote for Captain Monster, more sugar to the spoonful. The speeches are usually geared to pleasing everybody, no matter what opposite ambitions the voters have. They generally promise a paradise for both the dog and the flea. It's all an illogical, wasteful, and often cruel circus. Our society is collapsing due to overpopulation, mental cripples, pollution, changing climate, and a scarcity of resources. All any politician can do is manipulate scarce resources and divert them to the loudest rabble or the most influential industries and away from the wage earners. Nothing these turkeys promise will really change things. A person who believes it will is only delaying urgent action toward his own survival. The American political system is the instrument of business and labor. The Republican political favors business and acknowledges labor. The Democrat favors labor and acknowledges business. Business and labor are completely interdependent, and neither could survive if either were favored beyond a certain point or if another interest were favored to any effectual degree. Business and labor are the two largest power blocks, each having a greater concentration of voters. The self-employed, unemployed, the farmers, students, and racial minorities have no common ground on which to come together in the alliance it would take to gain a majority. So both parties give lip service to the needs of small business, farmers, and minorities. These groups have sincere spokesmen in both parties. But this is arranged, don't you see? Fewer people are fooled. Over half the people have given up on politics and politicians. Over two-thirds agree with the statement that candidates say they will do one thing and then do the opposite. This is true because both Republican and Democrats need the votes of small business, farmers, and racial minorities. Even if they are sincere, when they gain office, they find that their party's basic interests must be served, even if that means making a liar out of the winner. As more people catch on to the fraud of voting in national elections, only the simple-minded continue to vote. I was listening to the complaints of a registrar of voters on a TV news show. He was saying that a certain sample ballot was too complex. His point was that the average voter reads at a sixth grade level. Are you surprised? Aren't most political appeals made to morons? But the fact that the ballots were too complex had nothing to do with intelligence. The issues on sample ballots are usually written in single, long sentences, vague and impossible to understand without prior briefing. If you haven't studied the issues on your own, the ballot will often cause you to vote opposite to your real intentions. You probably remember issues on which the ballot tells you to vote yes if you were against it and no if you were for it. This seems to be a snare set up by the overall political machine. If you're among the intelligent minority and know what you're voting for, you will not be deceived, but you will still have wasted your time voting. A case in point was Proposition 13 in California, which called for a study of atomic power with the view to shutting down the power plants. So a yes vote was against atomic power and a no vote was for it. The intelligent voter who was against atomic power voted yes. The less aware voter who was also against atomic power voted no, meaning he didn't want it. Atomic power won with a two-thirds majority. Survivalists don't involve themselves in national politics at all. They don't want to be dependent on either big business or labor unions, the Tweedledee and Tweedledum of our political system. They know that, as part of an intelligent minority, their votes will be canceled several to one by the ignorant. Only a fool nowadays says, if you don't vote, you have no right to criticize. Actually, just the reverse is true. If you vote for either Tweedledum or Tweedledee, you are endorsing a dual monopoly. Either side is just one side of the same coin. Every vote for either side is an endorsement for the monster. The non-voter is the only one qualified to criticize that monster. If a majority refuses to vote in national elections, the dual monopoly will be shattered. Politics will become regional. Thus, most of the people in an area will be catered to instead of just those affiliated with big business and labor unions. All right, here I am back, and my phone number is 501-437-2963. So you can start calling anytime. And, I might as well give you my mailing address now if you'd like to get that $10 packet, which consists of a sample issue of U.S. Militia and a sample issue of Shoestring Entrepreneur, and the David Koresh Last Testament, which is a very interesting book about what happened there, and it was smuggled out just a couple of hours before the fire. And when you get that packet, then you can get $5 off on subscription to either U.S. Militia or Shoestring Entrepreneur. And it'll give you a whole world of books on how you can be self-sufficient from a collapsing system, and extremely interesting and helpful material you can use. Now I got my first call. Hello, Kurt Saxon here.
Hi, Kurt. Andy from Detroit, Michigan.
Andy, did I come in okay?
Yeah, you came in really good tonight.
Okay, good. Well, we solved that problem. I just read the next one.
Hey, Kurt, I got a question for you.
Okay, Andy.
All these so-called patriots out there, they're always screaming that we have to return to the Constitution or the original intent of the Constitution.
Impossible.
I know. I mean, why bother? I mean, it's already proven itself to be a failure.
Yes, well, the original Constitution was fantastic, but they kept adding more and more amendments to take care of people who couldn't take care of themselves. That now we've got 100 million social dependents. The crime rate is out of sight. Instead of getting rid of the criminals, you see them hollering every day to get rid of guns. So it doesn't make any sense. Our Constitution is meaningless, and that's not any kind of social blasphemy either. It's if you have a good setup and you mess it up, then it's messed up. It doesn't show any sense to be loyal to something that has been destroyed.
Well, you know, some people think that the Constitution had some flaws in it from the very beginning.
Well, it may have had some flaws in it, but I'm sure people could have worked them out. Of course, as times change, situations changes, there would need to be amendments. But most of the amendments were made to take care of people who wouldn't even have lived when the Constitution was made.
Yeah, well, I think that a lot of the mechanics of our government were flawed from the very beginning.
Well, they shouldn't have let people vote the way they did.
Yeah, well, they gave too much power to Congress, too. They should never give one body, one branch of the government the power to both tax and spend.
Yes, well, that's all they do nowadays. Of course, now the congressman is just like anybody else. He's sort of stupid, or he wouldn't be a politician in the first place. If he could do anything, he'd set about doing it and not bother to go into politics. But basically, he's a pig at the public trough, and he wants to stay there, and he wants to feather his nest. And whether he's a liberal or a moderate or a conservative, he wants to stay in office and get as much as he can.
Yep. Well, that's why at the last couple of elections I voted in, I voted for myself.
Yes. How did you vote for yourself?
A write-in candidate.
Oh, write-in candidate. Well, the last time I voted was for George Wallace about 30 years ago.
Oh.
And he didn't make it, and I'm glad now that he didn't because he's a jerk. And so I just haven't voted since, and I haven't lost anything by it because it gives me the right to criticize.
Yep, there you are. Okay, Kurt, it was great talking to you, and I'm looking forward to getting your packet.
Oh, did you send for it yet?
I sent it away for it last week. If you haven't got my order by now, you'll get it.
Well, we'll probably get it, and we're sending out another big mailing in a couple of days.
All right.
So just be patient. It'll come along.
Okay, I'm looking forward to it.
Okay, buddy.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, my phone number again is 501-437-2963. I'm waiting for your call. And my mailing address for the $10 packet, half of which is refundable on the first order, is P.O. Box 95, Alpena, A-L-P-E-N-A, Arkansas 72611. So, and now this tape will be replayed on 7.435 megahertz between 9 and 10 p.m. Central Standard Time. So I'm still waiting for a call. And I think about the biggest news that's been coming over the air today is where the politicians have decided that they're going to raise the taxes on, or the cost of a gun license from about $10 to $600, if I heard right. I've heard several reports, and sometimes they garble them. But that's going to scare a whole lot of people. But if you would stop and think, it's going to do a great amount of good for everyone in the gun business. So if you'd like to call in and talk about that and get all kinds of assurances and maybe go into the gun business for yourself and get rich in the next few months, then I'd be glad to talk it over with you. So again, my number is 501-437-2963. Anyway, part of the problem with the raising the price on the FFL, that's Federal Firearms License, is that if you should have to pay $600 a year instead of $10, all you do is raise the price on guns, and you can raise the price considerably because the customer has the idea that they're giving you such a hard time that you've got to sock them with those extra prices, whereas you could make up the deficit selling just a few guns, but you're just going to be selling guns and guns and guns. Here's another call. Hello, Kurt Saxon here.
Good evening, Kurt.
Whoops, awfully loud there.
Oh, sorry about that. How's that?
Well, we're gonna turn you down there.
Okay.
Okay, that's better.
It must be my old drill sergeant's voice coming through, I guess.
Well, it might be the connection.
This is Dick from Texas, and I just stumbled across your program and heard the last of that tape that you had on.
Yeah.
And it reminded me of my grandfather, who was another old horse soldier from back in the early part of the century, and he was Irish. And
yes.
He told me for years, never vote for the bastards. It only encourages them.
That's right.
And I've sort of been making that same argument you have, not as well, but I was real pleased to hear that. I'll be sending for some of your stuff.
Well, you're going to enjoy it.
It's what, 6 to 7 every night, or what?
Well, yes, it's 6 to 7 every night, Central Time, and then until the end of this week, they'll be airing it from 9 to 10 p.m. on another station. But that's just as a trial run.
What's the other frequency?
The other frequency is 5.810 megahertz.
Okay.
Oh, no, I'm sorry, 7.435 megahertz.
7.435, and this one between 6 and 7 Central Time?
Is 5810 megahertz.
Okay. Well, I'm glad to hear you got a program, and I've enjoyed what I've heard so far.
Well, I'm glad. You just sent for that packet, and you're going to love it.
All righty, you take care.
Okay, bye for now.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Again, my phone number is 501-437-2963. Now, what you hear on the news these last couple of days about raising the licensing fee for FFLs is going to add to the gun hysteria. And of course, everyone in the gun business, they are going to make money hand over fist. Also, everybody who knows how to be a gunsmith is going to make a lot more money because people are going to be bringing in their guns to be repaired instead of just throwing them away. Back on the line. Hello, Kurt Saxon here.
Hello, Kurt. How are you tonight?
Doing fine.
I'm phoning from up in Canada.
Well, good for you.
I just wanted to congratulate you on getting on the short wave.
Well, I'm glad you like it.
I sure do, and I've got pretty well all the books that you have in the last 20-some years.
Well, are you a subscriber to either publication?
Yes, I have.
Well, what do you think of U.S. Militia so far?
I think it's a pretty good magazine, yeah.
Yeah?
Enjoy it. It's real good.
It's not banned in Canada yet.
Well, no, but just about everything else is up in this crazy country.
Well, as long as you can get my books, you can wait them out.
Well, we got enough information, I think, that we know what's going on and getting ready for what's coming.
Good.
And, yeah, I just wanted to maybe add a little bit to what you're talking about, gun control, you know.
Yeah.
Like, if they put it to 600 down in the States, that'll make gun dealers rich.
Of course it will.
Yeah.
But you see, the politicians are so stupid, they don't understand that. And the gun dealers are going to say, oh, poor us, now you got to pay us 3 times the price of the gun because they're trying to put us out of business. And now imagine if the let's see now, the ATF, that's alcohol, tobacco, and firearms, if they've been collecting $10 per gun license for 250,000 FFL holders, and they can raise that to $600, well, that's going to make the ATF rich. People are going to be joining the FBI, the ATF, and dropping out of the FBI.
Yeah, that's about the size of it, all right.
It's going to make everybody rich, and it's going to put more guns in the street, and then talk about, what is this, underground black market guns? Boy, I tell you, a good buddy of mine, about 30 years ago, when Senator Thomas Dodd thought he was passing some gun laws, this guy, he drove from Los Angeles to Arizona, and he come back with a whole carload of guns, and he was selling them in Hollywood right on the curb, right out of his car. And he did good until he got thrown in prison for bank robbery. He robbed 30. But I guess he was wishy-washy. He couldn't keep his mind on one trade.
He didn't know which to do.
No, he didn't.
No. Well, up here in Canada, you know, down in the big city streets,
yeah,
buy handguns left and right.
Mm-hmm.
Without anything. They're right off the street from the gangs.
Of course.
So, and the laws haven't done anything. All they did was make more guns available.
Well, they can't do anything. And they got on the news tonight about this silly person in, I think in California. They put out this offer that we're going to give you a ticket to the Bears ball game or something if you'll turn in your guns. And so he's crowing like a big victory that they turned in 1,200 guns in 11 days. Well, 1,200 guns out of maybe 40 million, I really don't think that's going to solve anybody's problem, do you?
No, that's not going to solve anybody's problem.
Well, you see, but these liberal simpletons, they take hope in such things. And I know that with these threatened raising of the gun license, the NRA is going to come out and sob about it and talk about how bad things are getting, and the liberals are going to act like they made a victory, and the people in the gun business are going to make more and more money.
Yeah, well, that always happens. When the commodity gets scarce, it skyrockets.
Well, what's silly about the whole thing is that the commodity is not scarce at all. It's like the energy crisis about 1973, where people got shot at gas stations for waiting in line, and there was no shortage at all. So here you're going to have nothing but trouble and great, tremendous profits when there is no shortage of guns or no hassle about getting them at all.
The thing is, there's no shortage of guns, but there will be a shortage for the law-abiding citizen. You know,
I don't see how.
They want to make everybody a criminal.
Well, of course they do. If you listen to my talk about the nut house syndrome, but and of course I'm talking about instead of fighting crime by getting rid of the criminal, by actually destroy him, they want to simply disarm all of the inmates, and that doesn't work from any direction. But it just shows that our politicians are going increasingly insane and becoming more and more irrational.
Well, there's an idiot born every day, and there must have been a few 100,000 born one day.
Well, they call them baby boomers.
That's right. And the rich elitists, that's what they are, you know.
Yeah.
They have more money than brains.
That's right.
But for the common man who knows what's coming, we're getting ready, and there's a collapse coming. There's no way out for it.
Well, as long as you have a set of my books, you shouldn't worry too much about yourself and those near you.
Well, I just want to tell everybody out there that I've got all your books, and they're about the best books I've ever written. And any time I've ever ordered anything from you, I have received it 100% within the quickest time that anybody could imagine. A couple of weeks and it's there. A lot of the other guys, if you want to order the stuff which is crap, which they have, it might take you a month and a half before you get it.
Well, that's Paladin Press, Lumpanix, Buto Kukai, Delta Desert. They're just little rip-off outfits.
That's right. Well,
and what they sell is mainly garbage, so they don't care whether they serve you or not. Once they got your money, forget it.
Yeah, for sure. Just tell the people you're the best one going, and I'm glad for you that you're on. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate you.
Thank you, sir.
Well, thank you, and bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, now getting back to this gun thing. Now, if you've had any interest in becoming a gunsmith, then Volume 4 of the Poor Man's James Bond has Clyde Baker's Modern Gunsmithing from 1933, and it gives you the basics on gunsmithing, and you can start from scratch and start learning about the basics of all of the regular guns. Oh, here's another call. Hello, Kurt Saxon here.
Hello, Kurt, first-time caller.
Well, good.
For a program calling from New York. Wondered your opinion on the average citizen buying and owning, and for what reasons, gold, like gold eagles, coins in different denominations.
Well, I tell you,
silver.
It's just a matter of practicality as far as I see it. If I had $1,000 I wasn't doing anything with, I would consider what trade I wanted to buy into, and I would buy tools for that trade. Now, you take your $1,000 and you buy gold and silver and rare coins. Hey, if you've got millions of dollars, that's fine. But only your grandchildren are going to take advantage of that gold. Because when you need to spend it, how are you going to change it? You go to a farmer and you say, I want a chicken, and here's a $350 ounce of gold. He'll say, well, I'll sell you a $350 chicken. And I just don't see any practicality for anyone buying gold or any of those things as unless they want to build up something for their grandchildren.
I see. Against the value of the dollar, though, it's always depreciating, or there's a lot of other things to do with the dollar.
Well, if you buy tools, you can't go wrong.
So you're totally against gold?
I'm not against it. It's just an irrelevancy. If you can afford it and if you really want to do it, go with it.
Well, it was about 9 months or a year ago they devalued on a Saturday the British pound by 15%.
Yes.
And they could do it here under different situations of crisis or call in and new money, devalue the currency, a lot of different things. So you're just protecting. Gold has more value than paper.
Well, of course it does. But the exchange is very hard to do among the general public.
Yeah.
So unless you're a banker, unless you have a great surplus, it wouldn't be practical for you. So like I said, if you're a person of modest means, the most practical outlay of your money would be in tools. Now, if they're going to devalue the currency in 6 months, then take what spare currency you've got and buy a welding outfit, or buy a flock of chickens. You can barter eggs. You could turn eggs over a lot easier than you could gold.
Yeah, I see your point. That's very good. But in Serbia, this last month, inflation was 30,000%.
Yes.
Now, you heard in all these different countries, whether it's 15% or 25% in Russia,
yes,
or who knows what. So they're devaluing the paper. They could do it here in the U.S. So
well, you see, if the Serb that is affected by that has a flock of chickens, does it really matter to him? Or if he has a garden?
If he's got to purchase anything or had any money.
Oh, but you can always barter food. You see, you cannot go wrong raising food.
That's right. I believe that.
And if you have a shop and you buy a lathe, then you can make it. Well, you know, the lathe is the only machine that can make another lathe. It can reproduce itself.
Is that right?
Oh, yes. And if you have a welding outfit for a couple of $100, you're in business.
I see.
So it's tools of a trade will keep you going no matter what is the coin of the realm.
Well, I didn't expect your answer, but that's a very good perspective, and it's give you something to think about.
Well, I hope so. But like I said, if you're a rich man and you don't have anything to do with your money, then just go with the gold.
What's rich?
That depends on you. If you can afford 2 gold bathtubs, then invest in gold. But if you can't, and if you got quite a bit of money, then buy a machine shop.
Yeah, I see your point.
Well, to give you, for instance, Ron's Automotive here in Alpena, I think he started out as a shade tree mechanic, and now if you want some work done, you got to wait in line for 20 cars. Welding shops do great. Farms do great. Small farms that are raising stuff to sell locally, that is. And anything, if you can produce food, if you can repair things, a woodworking shop will keep you busy and keep you employed. And whatever is going for money, they'll bring it to you to take care of them.
Mm-hmm. I see. Well, that's very good. And I have not I've just heard you for about a week or so.
Yeah.
And your packet cost, I think, $10. There's quite a bit of literature.
Oh, yeah. And you'd get $5 credit on, say, you'd...
Quite a bit of literature.
Oh, yeah, and you'd get $5 credit on, say, you'd probably want to invest in Shoestring Entrepreneur. And with that, you would get 11 back issues of The Survivor at no charge. You'd start with Shoestring Entrepreneur, and you'd get 11 more Shoestring Entrepreneurs as they come out.
Uh-huh. And do you have a catalog where you can...
Yes. All of my books and tapes are described completely in U.S. Militia and Shoestring Entrepreneur.
Well, sounds like a necessity. I'm going to do it.
Okay.
Can't go wrong.
Can't go wrong.
Thank you, Kurt.
You're very welcome. Bye for now. Okay, so let's see, where was I? Any kind of gun hysteria causes more gun business. And for anyone who thinks that the government itself, that is the people who know what's happening in the government, would ban guns in any way, let me straighten you out here. I'm not quite sure of the real figure, but I think it's about $50 billion that the government takes in taxes and licenses from gun dealers, ammunition, guns, gun manufacturers. I mean, just think what Smith & Wesson pays to the United States government every year. And think of all the revenues, direct and indirect, from guns. Now, the government isn't going to let go of such a big chunk of money like that. So guns are here to stay, and they say often that there's over 200 million guns in the country. And one guy, he's a criminologist, he said there was 250 million guns in the country, one for every man, woman, and child and infant. So I don't know why people keep buying guns, but it's this hysteria that's stirred up by the stupid liberals. And then, of course, the conservatives are wringing their hands because a lot of them are in the gun business. And they figure, okay, let the American public just get hysterical about it and panicked and how guns are going to be harder to buy. And the worst thing that happened is that you'll pay $1 more per box for ammunition, and you pay maybe $5, $10 more for a gun, or if the guy's selling guns out of his home, he can get his paranoid customers to think that he's been put on so much that he can charge double the price for a gun. Of course, I don't know why they should buy it from him anyway. I'd go to a gun store. I buy my guns at Walmart. But anyway, this anti-gun legislation, even if it should go through, is going to do great for the gun business. And but I'll bet very few people in the gun business will admit it, because they don't want people to think that the guns are going to get easier and easier to buy, although maybe a little more expensive. But of course, when you go to a gun show, I put out the Gun Runner for 2 years, several years ago, and I went to gun shows every couple of weeks. And the Gun Runner was a gun show publication. And I've been to shows where as much business was done under the table and in the parking lot was done in the show. And there was no ATF there. In fact, the ATF has admitted that they don't have the staff to monitor gun shows. So they're just, the best way to get guns is to go to a gun show. And just a little personal advice, if you want a gun, go to the gun show or start spending your money the afternoon of Sunday. Because if it's, especially if it's a bad show and people aren't bringing much money, then the guys with the guns are going to be wanting gas money to get home on, and so they'll really cut the price of your guns and ammunition. But the gun show is the best place to go to buy weapons because you can get them cheaper, and it's like a supermarket of weaponry. And if you want to get them illegally, fine, because all of the restrictions they talk about putting on the sale of guns certainly apply to gun shows, but the gun show dealers have been in the business for years and years, and they know every little in and out, and they're selling stolen guns. Now, not all of them, of course, but you just walk up and down the aisles, and you'll see all kinds of illegal stuff going on. That is if you know what to look for. And, of course, the police don't know what to look for. And the ATF don't have the people to monitor what's going on there. And, of course, the people who put on the gun shows, the last thing they would do would be to kick somebody out for illegal activities. Oh, they'll kick a person out if one of the guns go off, because all the guns are supposed to be unloaded. But, well, I could go on and on for hours about gun shows. But, oh, incidentally, just in case you've forgotten it, my number is 501-437-2963. So give me a call. And anyway, you're going to see with all this gun hysteria, pro and con, that gun sales are going to go up, murders are going to go up, all sorts of crimes are going to go up, and, well, our civilization is going down. So it's just one of those things. I wouldn't worry about it. Well, I don't, because I'm living in Alpena. If you're living in a city, you better think about getting out, because your city doesn't have long. But incidentally, now, if you would like a collection of these tapes, Jeffrey's Audio, P.O. Box 326, Alpena, Arkansas 72611, will sell them to you for a week's worth of them for $25 postpaid, or single tapes for $6 each. Now, let me get back to my basic offer here. I'm offering an introductory packet for people who aren't familiar with my works. For $10, you'll get a copy of U.S. Militia, the only magazine for community defense. It's just full of how to take care of your community and even make a good business of it and protect your neighbors and yourself. And then there's Shoestring Entrepreneur, which will put anyone in business. Even if you're in a wheelchair, you can start a business of your own. And all of these describe in great detail all of my books and tapes. And if you order the packet, then you get $5 off either subscription. And you also get David Koresh's Last Testament, the work he was doing just before the fire, and it was smuggled out a few hours before the fire. And I think that the packet is something that would be very enjoyable. So give it a try. And so let's see, what should we talk about? Isn't anyone going to call? Oh, come on. The number is 501-437-2963. Anyway, as you can probably watch from your TV, the civilization all over the world is really messing up. The UN is keeping the peace in Yugoslavia, and they're killing each other right and left. I don't know what's happened in Somalia. Maybe they don't turn their cameras on it anymore. Oh, here we got another call. Hello, Kirk Saxon here.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, this is Rich in California.
Oh, tell your Rich, turn down your radio.
Right, I just took care of it. Does that sound better?
Well, you seem pretty loud. Okay, we're correcting it. Okay, Rich.
Okay, I'm enjoying your show. I have a thought for you.
Yes?
I think we should encourage these exchanges of sporting event tickets for guns or whatever, because it's all voluntary.
Yes.
I'm a teacher, and for many years I've told my students, you never sell your tools, you never sell your guns.
Yes.
And so I'm doing what I can to encourage these voluntary exchanges, and we'll let the fools trade in their guns.
Well, the thing is that the mugger is not going to turn in his gun. The doper is not going to turn in his gun. So the only people who might turn in their guns are the people who might need them to ward off some attacker breaking into their house.
Well, I don't know. I think if they're foolish enough to give up their guns, then they deserve what they get.
I think you're right there. I agree with you wholeheartedly.
Okay, I enjoy your show. I think you're performing a very valuable service.
Well, what do you teach?
I teach electronics.
Oh, fantastic. Incidentally, in Volume 3 of The Survivor is a 1927 book on electronics that really takes you back there. It's you might be interested in it. It's not only nostalgic, but it's also basic. You might find things in there that would be make it easier for you to get ideas across to your students.
Well, I'm going to be ordering from you real soon.
Okay.
Keep up the good work.
You too. Thank you very much.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye for now. Well, yes, the survivors have, there's just like an encyclopedia of do-it-yourself, whatever you want to do. Written, most of the articles are from the 30s, early 40s, and they go back about 150 years. They tell you how your great-great-grandparents made it from day to day, how they processed their food, made things to sell and barter, ran their businesses, and especially the Depression era is very good because, oh, here comes another call. Hello, Kurt Saxon here.
Yeah, hello, Kurt. I enjoy your show.
I'm glad.
Yeah, I'm calling here. I'm in Washington, and you're coming in pretty good, Washington State.
Good.
Yeah, I have a question to ask you. How do you feel about the not using Social Security numbers? That's what I'm trying not to do right now, but it's, you know, trying to find a job. Would you suggest maybe like your shoestring entrepreneur is the way to go?
I think, first of all, you should subscribe to Shoestring Entrepreneur, get all the back issues of The Survivor, and then maybe even order the set of the bound volumes. And that will give you a good way to make a living on your own. I haven't used my Social Security number for quite a while. Well, I got to use it for my license and for my insurance and things like that. But I don't see any reason that you should worry about using your Social Security number because the government has it. And unless you do something wrong, they're never going to use it against you. I think you just tie yourself up if you try to get try to get by without using it.
Yeah.
It's like these people who want to buy all of these how to change your identity books. As I told one guy, the best way to change your identity is to grow up. But the thing is, when you avoid using these identification things, you put yourself into a corner, and if you should really try to change your identity, you'd find yourself living like a rat. You'd have to hide from the world. You couldn't make any money. You wouldn't have any good friends. And just don't worry about those things. If they want to know where you are, they're going to find where you are. Just be good, mind your own business, learn a trade, be honest, and let the world know where you are. My address is in the phone book. My phone number isn't unlisted. Everyone knows me. They know where I am.
But as far as knowing the law, as far as not using a Social Security number, I mean, filing a 1040, I mean, when you study the laws and everything like that, you know, if you want to stay out of the system as far as you want to be your own, you know, have your own business, but you don't want to be, you know, as far as that goes, you know.
Well, now, that's not my point. I'm not saying stay out of the system. I'm saying become independent of it.
Right, that's what I'm saying,
There's a big difference.
Yeah.
You see, you can use the system, you can be a part of it, but you can be independent of it to the point where when it collapses, you can step out of the way. But use it while you've got it.
Yeah. Well, maybe your books will go more in depth on that. Yeah,
They will, and they'll give you a lot of greater confidence in what you can do. And once you find you can do something, you will want people to know where you are so that they can trade with you.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that you say you can get back issues of all that when you.
Well, that you'll get 11 back issues of The Survivor at no charge at all.
What's the difference between The Survivor and?
Well, The Survivor is basically on newsprint. And the Shoestring Entrepreneur is on the white paper.
Oh.
And the but they all are just full of ways to make things and do things, and a lot of good reading about about the past. A lot of people don't know about the past.
Right.
You watch TV and you
see
these period. Come again?
What's your subscription rate for to the Shoestring Entrepreneur?
$15.
$15 a year?
Well, no, it's $15 for 12 issues.
You buy monthly or whatever?
I put it out whenever I can get it.
Okay.
I hope to get them out every month, but I've been hoping that for several years. But that's beside the point. You'll get enough to start with. It'll keep you busy till you get the next issue. I guarantee that.
Well, I find your show very interesting. I'm glad I found it. Thank you.
I'm glad. All right. Well, we're here for another caller now, and the phone number again is 501-437-2963. So you ought to order that packet as an introductory packet. That's why I'm not advertising other stuff. Another call. Hello, Kurt Saxon here.
Hi, my name's Tom from New Jersey, and my shortwave radio. I haven't played it in years, and I just took it out of the closet today to listen, and I found you.
Must be fate, Tom.
Yeah.
We were fated to meet.
I guess we were. I just heard you talking about something for $10. You get a package of a sample of your publications.
Yes, and then you get $5 back on any subscription.
Well, could you give me the address to mail it to?
Well, I'll do that, and thank you for reminding me. It's P.O. Box 95.
P.O.B. 95.
Alpena, A-L-P-E-N-A.
A-L-P-E-N-A.
Arkansas, that's A-R.
Ark, okay.
72611.
72611. And what do I ask for? Just a sample pack or something?
Well, they say the Koresh book, because you'll get Koresh's book, and you'll get a sample copy of U.S. Militia and a sample copy of Shoestring Entrepreneur.
Yeah. I heard you talking about gun control, and as you know, up here in the People's Republic of New Jersey, we have probably the toughest gun laws in the country, and they banned all these so-called assault rifles.
Yeah.
And I don't know, they turned over 350,000 people into criminals because nobody.
Those criminals are making a lot of money selling guns underground in New Jersey.
Yeah. Well, okay, I'm gonna hang up now. Listen to the rest of your program.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye for now. Okay, again, my phone number is 501-437-2963. And I guess a lot of people didn't understand it, but I'm offering my introductory packet, and the reason I offered it as here's another call. Kurt Saxon here.
Yeah, Kurt, this is Mike from Bearville, just right up the road from you.
Well, Mike, drop by.
Yeah, I just been listening to your show for about a week or so.
Yeah?
And tonight it didn't sound like to me you're really with things.
Oh, I'm not?
No.
Well, you straighten me out, Mike.
Well, talking about, you say the federal government doesn't want to ban guns because they're making so much money off of them.
That's right.
Well, what about Britain? Why did they do it over there?
Well, you see, the bobbies in Britain never carried guns, except now they're arming them. But since they didn't have such an emphasis on guns, it was very easy for them not to have guns widely distributed, and consequently they didn't have a big gun business to put out of business.
Well, you don't believe in what a lot of people are saying about wanting to take our guns away from us to enslave us?
Well, they would like to some people would like to take the guns away from you, but not the people who are making money off of them, such as the federal government and the NRA and Smith & Wesson and all the gun dealers. You got too much to fight to take those guns away.
So you don't think it'd ever be possible?
It wouldn't be possible, even though a lot of people would like to do it. I mean, Metzenbaum, the nearest he could get was to make a silly law about you couldn't have a magazine that would carry more than 7 bullets. Well, my goodness, if I can't get my man in under 7 shots, I'll surrender.
Well, do you ever listen? I don't guess you ever listen to William Cooper.
I've heard of him.
You don't ever listen to him?
Well,
just wondered if you believed anything that he was saying.
I don't know all that he says. I've heard a couple of his tapes.
Well, what do you think about happening down in Waco?
Down in Waco? Well, that was a big farce now, wasn't it?
Well, what do you mean farce? I mean,
well,
side was it a farce?
Here,
I mean,
the ATF and the FBI were going to sneak up on these people from 400 yards away in a bare field. That didn't work.
Right.
And they got 4 of their men shot up.
Right.
And they got a whole lot of civilians killed, and the ATF has been backpedaling and apologizing for that ever since. It's been a big black eye to them.
Yeah.
I don't think they'll do it again. I think that the next time something like that comes up, they're going to give it to the Secret Service, or they're going to say to the locals, well, you take care of it. We're not going to do that again because it made us look stupid.
What do you think Koresh and all deserve what happened to them?
Come again?
Do you think they did anything wrong to be, to be rated like they were?
Well, all they did was give the appearance of wrong, and they upset and excited the feds, and when you do that, then you're turning a bunch of hysterics loose on the public.
Yeah. Well, I just got in watching a video called Waco the Big Lie. You've probably heard of it.
Well, the tape is a big lie. I watched that tape.
No. Which tape did you watch?
I'll bet it's the tape you watched. I'm not quite sure of the name of it.
Well, why do you think it was a big lie?
Was it the tape where they said that they sent to the Special Air Services in Britain to get this kind of machinery where they could see through walls by heat? Yeah, well, you see, the Pentagon doesn't need to send to the SAS for anything. They've got all that equipment. Besides, they didn't use it in Waco.
How do you know this?
Well, because if they had used it in Waco, they would have gotten the job over quicker. They would have been a little more efficient, but they didn't have it. So they didn't.
Well, I mean, how would they have gotten the job over quicker? I mean, I don't understand that. How could they have got those people out of there?
They would have.
I think in the beginning they wanted them dead.
Well, I don't see
after the initial raids was screwed up.
Why would they want them dead?
Well, I don't think there was any reason for them to raid them. I don't think they had any automatic weapons.
Okay.
They never showed anything. They buried it all. I do not understand that.
They may have. They may have.
I think it was a murder.
Well, you can call it anything you want, but the thing is, it was just a great big bungle, and it was tragedy, of course. But if Koresh had opened the door and let him in there and said, okay, you want to poke around, you go ahead.
He said, now what was said was they started firing. Not Koresh, but the ATF started firing.
Well, you see, if he had let them come in there before that.
Well, he said that they could come out any time.
Yes, that's what he said later on after he was.
No, he said that before.
Well, now wait a minute.
He said they had, the Department of Human Services out there.
Yeah.
Investigating all the sexual, so-called.
Yeah.
And they found no substantial evidence of it.
Well, they were investigating one thing, and the ATF wanted to investigate another thing. Now, Koresh only came out saying that he would let the ATF in after they had launched the attack.
Well, how come? What I don't understand is he was in Waco a lot, in town. How come they could not have picked him up away from the place?
Well, you tell me.
That's what I think they meant to do this from the very beginning.
Why? Do you think that David Koresh was a threat to the system?
They may have thought so.
Why would they think that?
I have no idea, but you can't. I mean, I don't understand the federal government.
Well, you see, you're just going on hearsay. I wasn't there, and neither were you.
Oh, that's right.
Okay, so I'm saying that it was a bungle. None of it makes any sense at all.
But I still can't understand why there was never any proof brought out of they had illegal activity there.
Well, probably.
They had all this guns and ammunition and all that, even though it wasn't, a fire and all that.
Yes. Well, let me get a word in edgewise here.
Go ahead.
I think the reason they couldn't prove anything was that there was nothing to prove, and the ATF and FBI were going on hearsay. They were going on the testimony that the people who dropped out of gave them, and the FBI and ATF will believe anything they're told, and they acted stupidly on it, and they even admit that they went against orders in attacking when they did and the way they did. It was a massive bungle.
Shouldn't they be held accountable for the murder of 80-something people?
Well,
and then, they were saying, the Davidians, or whatever they were called,
well, you see,
set fire to their own building.
Well, they did set fire to their own building.
How do you know that?
Because I know the difference between a gasoline fire and a kerosene fire, and that was a gasoline fire.
Okay, now, you watched the tape I was talking about.
I watched the tape, and I've watched the thing on TV as it came about.
Well, now, when the tanks were punching holes in the wall there right before the fire started,
yes,
and withdrew, was that not flame coming out of the tanks?
No, it wasn't coming out of the tanks. It was coming out of the building. That was the.
That's not what I saw. I mean, I guess we're seeing two different things. I'm not for sure.
No. We saw the same thing. What you saw was a doctored tape.
No, that's not what I
Yes,
thought it
you
was.
saw a doctored tape that was just run backwards, making it look like the flame was going from the tank, but the flame was coming out of the building. That woman who made the tape doctored...
If it was backwards, how come the tank wasn't going backwards? I mean, I don't understand that.
Well, do you have a VCR?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Now, when you record something, you just run it backwards.
Mm-hmm.
See?
Well, it seems like
if
it was backwards, then the fire would be going into the building instead of coming out of the building. And I mean, it looked like it was coming out from the tank. I mean,
actually, if you look at the tape again and you understand how it was done, you'll see that the fire was going out of the building instead of out of the tank. That was not a flamethrower. That was a regular tank.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you want to believe all that stuff, you go with it.
I don't know what to believe if you want to know the truth about it.
Okay, then, for one thing, don't worry about it because it wasn't important.
Well, okay, well, if you don't think it'll ever happen again?
It probably won't because they got such a black eye that they would be very leery of approaching any cults. Now, if they want to knock off cults, they got thousands of cults in California.
Well, I mean, do you think it was really a cult?
Well, they called it a cult. I don't care whether it was a cult or not. I mean, here's a guy acting like he's very religious, and he got these people around him, and they're living there. I think people who are religious, they ought to go to church.
Mm-hmm. Well, I believe that's, they did call that a church.
Well, they can call it. Do you live in your church?
No.
Okay, neither do I.
But that's, that's beside the point. Different people have different beliefs.
There's so many things that we don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But if you look at it objectively, it really wasn't important. Now, here was a group of people that were wiped out. Simple as that.
Yeah.
It was tragic. It was stupid.
Yeah.
And it happened. And they didn't go off on another rampage.
Not yet.
Well, not yet. They just do it every once in a while, so they're not really so heavily organized against anybody. I don't think they'll ever do it again. I don't think they'd dare.
Well, we hope not.
Okay, buddy.
I'll let you go.
Sure enough. Bye-bye. Well, we just got 3 minutes now, and my phone number is 501-437-2963. So if you'd like to call in this next few minutes, just ring up, and I'll talk to you. In the meantime, my address for the information packet is, whoops, here's another call. Hello, Kurt Saxon here.
How you do? Well, I'd just like to say, talking to my friends and I, Chuck and Bill and myself and a bunch of others, have been talking about how refreshing your program is and how enjoyable it is to hear your voice coming out of the dark night.
Well, thank you.
And I don't think a lot has been said about your editorials, and I think something should be. Usually you read them and then it seems like the conversation seems to go on to other aspects.
Well, I know that, but I got to start out with something. Of
course,
yeah.
But I think not enough is said about your editorials, and
yes.
I think they're, it's, again, I hate to use the word again, refreshing, but it's quite enjoyable to hear somebody that thinks along my lines, some of my friends' lines. I think one of the nicest words I heard you say was culling. I think
yes.
When there are a lot of people out there, I'm afraid they're going to have to be culled if the rest of us are going to live.
Absolutely. Well, when you read U.S. militia, you'll get a better perspective on it, and you'll feel better about it.
I'm looking forward to that. We're just waiting for it to come in the mail.
Yes. Well, if you've ordered it in the last few days, it should be going out either tomorrow or the next day.
Great. Looking forward to it. And I just did want to make that comment about I don't think enough was said about your editorials, and they are being appreciated. I invite comment on them. Okay. Well, it's been nice talking to you, Kurt. Well, thank you very much. We still got a couple of minutes. Bye now. Bye-bye. Now it's sign-off time. I'll talk to you tomorrow. So this is Kurt Saxon saying goodbye and be good.